Hi guys, welcome back to 20th video tutorial of J2W. So as we discussed in previous tutorial, Servlets has a major advantage with the CGI. With the CGI, we can able to perform processor based operations. So the processor load will be very high. With the Servlets, we can get better solutions because of it uses the thread model. So let's get started with the servlets. And for implementing servlets in Java, there are two packages provided with the Java. One is Java Extract Servlet. So which is the one which this package actually contains set of classes and interfaces. The other package is called as Java Extract servlet.htp. So these are all the two packages provided for implementing servlets in Java. So let's see what and all interfaces and the classes available within these packages. So with the servlet, don't worry guys, when we are actually coding, you get to know all these things. I'm just briefing about what and all available. So with the Java X.servlet package, so we have interfaces like servlet itself and servlet request, which actually takes a request from the user, servlet response, and filter, which actually filters the input before it processing, and request dispatcher, servlet context, and servlet config. So these are all the set of interfaces are available within the Java Extract Servlet, and there are implementation provided for these classes. Let's see what and all. The one is generic servlet, which is the implementation for our servlet interface. So we can use this particular implementation when you're writing a class, or if you want to implement your own implementation, then you just need to extend the implement the servlet interface. Then you will get to know all the classes and all the methods and properties within the servlet interface. Or if you just want to have the functionality, you just use the generic servlet in your example. So these are I'm just covering the major things, and I'm not covering all the classes and interfaces. Let's see the HTTP, what and all interfaces we have here. Here we'll be having HTTP servlet request and HTTP servlet response, HTTP session. So session will be used for particular user, and let's wind up here. So these are all the minimum interfaces knowledge we should have when you're writing any servlet application using HTTP package. We have other interfaces like the listener classes like HTTP session listener and all. So these are not, we are not going to cover now, and we'll see the classes like what other classes are available within the HTTP, like how we have within the Java data extract servlet, Java extract servlet, like how we have some classes within the HTTP which are more useful. The first one is HTTP servlet. You can see the comparison between the HTTP Java Extract servlet package and Java Extract HTTP servlet package. It's actually the Java Extract servlet package provides extensively the features of HTTP features. That is the reason it is having HTTP servlet, and you will be having features like cookie. Session event and all. We have lot of things there, but for now these are all the minimum knowledge we should have. So we're going to cover about servlet interface and servlet request, servlet response, filter, and all these things, dispatches and context and config. And we're going to cover generic servlet, which is from Java Extract servlet, and we're going to cover HTTP methods. When we are actually getting into the programming, then you got to know the major difference between the generic servlet and the HTTP servlet. And in real time, mostly we'll be used HTTP servlet, uh, which provides HTTP based solutions more compared to the generic servlet. So these are all the major classes and interfaces are available within Servlet API. So let's get into the architecture first. How actually the Servlet actually the workflow and all, how it actually looks. I can say the life cycle of the Servlet. So we'll see it now, and the next we can discuss about how to code a basic Servlet. So in life cycle of servlet, there are three stages that are available. The first stage will be loading a servlet class and initializing the servlet itself. The second step will be involve the service method, where actually the servlet it provides what and all services it is providing. We can keep it in service method. The last step will be the destroy method. Let's see how it actually looks like. So this is our loading a servlet class, and this is the initialization part. This and the first step, the first phase it will happen. Let me describe here. There are three stages you can say. The first one is init. The first one is load. Let me have more space. I'll write this side. Load servlet class. The second one will be instantiating servlet, or I can say instantiate servlet, or I can say create a servlet object. The third step will be call init method. So init method will have set of parameters. So this is the first step of servlet lifecycle. The second step will be the ready state. Ready means these having the functionality, actual functionality of the servlet. So I can name it as the fourth step is like call service method. Again, these having set of parameters. So in this service method, we'll actually having the actual functionality, what and all functionality we have to achieve and all. These the functionality where we can use the service method. At the end, once the performance, all the operations are performed within the service method, then it will come to destroy. So the servlet is destroy there. For that, we have a method called so this is the life cycle of a typical servlet. So the first step will be whenever you're making a request call. Suppose if you're suppose this servlet is about the home page servlet. So what will happen is when you make a call from the client saying slash home or home page. So once you make a call from the client saying I need a home page, then what it does is the request goes to web container. Web container actually look for a servlet which is matching to this particular home page URL. Once it found the servlet, then it actually loads that particular servlet class to the container. Then it will actually create an instance for that particular servlet class. Once the instance is created, by default the init method will be triggered and it will do all the init operations, like what are the initialization operations it will perform. Then the init method will trigger the service method call. This service method actually holding the request and response object. So the request is coming from the home page if you are passing any data, and it will actually the service method actually takes the data from the request object, and it will communicate to database and if required, and it will get the data, it will form the response with the response object. So this particular service method is actually holding, you can say, request and response. So both the values that this service method is holding, the request values, what are the values you're passing from here, it will actually accept it, and once the request is available, then it will process the uh, code, and what are the code you mentioned, if it is DB calls and all, it is perform the DB calls, and once the data is ready, it will prepare the response object, it will return to the respective method calls. Then once the response is returned, then the servlet is went to the destroy mode where the servlet is collapsed. So these typical architecture of servlet lifecycle. You just need to have idea about what and all methods are here within the lifecycle. The first one is init method, which makes the initialization of servlet, the basic initialization operations. The service method actually takes the request and prepare the response for you. Once the service method execution is done, then it goes to destroy method. So the next tutorial we're going to discuss about how to implement our own servlet class in practical. So thanks guys, thanks for watching.